Things got tense on The View today when Joy Behar and Sonny Hostin got into a heated argument over how the Democratic Party handles veterans' issues, government spending, and overall strategy. What started as a talk about Republican policies quickly spiraled into a sharp disagreement between the co-hosts. Joy, clearly upset, called for unity within the party, urging everyone to get on the same page. Sonny didn't hold back. She criticized party leaders for not standing up strongly enough for everyday Americans. The back and forth grew so intense that Sarah Haynes had to step in and calm the conversation before it went too far. The moment left viewers stunned by the level of tension on live TV.
I feel like they should stop fighting with each other. I want to show some tape of these veterans who are protesting. This is a guy named Jay Carey, a Democrat who served over 20 years in the United States Army. And this thing went viral because, and he was screaming at this Chuck Edwards, who's a Republican from North Carolina. Can we see that tape?
Got nothing to say.
Thank you for that feedback.
Lying. I'm a veteran.
To be clear,
You don't get to take away our rights. You don't get to take our health. Get up.
Yeah.
You don't get to do this to us.
I mean, people like that will make a difference in this country. These are veterans who have been dissed by this president, President Bone Spurs. They're losing their federal jobs. The VA healthcare is being gutted. The veteran suicide hotline is being destaffed. And potential Medicaid and food stamp cuts would disproportionately hurt veterans. What happened to the Republican Party? It was always about the vets and the Army and the United States, the armed forces. And now Trump calls them losers. Look, remember what he said about John McCain, who was a prisoner of war during Vietnam, and how he didn't like him because he was captured. And this Republican Party backs this president against our veterans. I hate to make speeches, but my father, my uncles all fought in World War II so that we would not have a fascist in the White House. And this is what we're getting right now. And I can almost cry today for these people, these vets who are losing everything. Why don't the Democrats go out there and march and stop fighting with each other? I'm sick of it.
Well, I don't know, Joy, that they're fighting with each other. They're not fighting a unified fight. That is the problem.
The fact that Nancy is now out there criticizing Schumer, stop it already.
You know why she's criticizing him? Because he should have been fighting for that veteran. He should have been fighting for the people of America that are feeling the way that they are feeling. The Americans that I've spoken to, people that approach me almost every single day, say they don't feel like the party is fighting for them. This is not about...
well, that's what I'm saying. Go out and fight for them.
But it's not about... Well, he had the opportunity to fight for them. Chuck Schumer caved to the GOP and got nothing. This was not actually the choice. But Joy, the choice was not between a no vote on the partisan GOP spending bill and a possible shutdown. It was a choice between a no vote and forcing Republicans to explain why they walked away from that possibility of a bipartisan agreement. And the core disagreement was around a willingness to fight, even if that meant convincing the public that the harm from a shutdown was the fault of Trump and the Republicans, because they are going to do exactly what they are doing. They're taking money away from vets. They're going to take money from Social Security. They're going to take money. So let them hold the water for them. Let them hold the bag. Democrats in the House were prepared for that fight. Chuck Schumer caved.
They didn't have the votes.
Things got very intense on The View during a heated segment where co-hosts Joy Behar and Sonny Hostin clashed over how the Democratic Party has been handling veterans' issues, government spending, and internal unity. What began as a general conversation quickly turned into a full-blown argument that revealed some deep frustrations within the left. Joy Behar, visibly upset, started things off by criticizing her own party. She said Democrats were too busy arguing with each other instead of focusing their energy on pushing back against Republican policies. "Why are we turning on each other when the real fight is out there?" she asked. Her anger was especially fueled by reports of veterans losing access to key benefits, VA hospitals being underfunded, and even the National Suicide Hotline for veterans being short-staffed. Though she blamed Republicans for cutting these services, Joy also didn't hold back on her disappointment in Democratic leaders, accusing them of not doing enough to stop it. She also took a direct swipe at Donald Trump, bringing up his past remarks about veterans and mocking him by referring to him as President Bone Spurs, a jab at how he avoided military service. That's when Sonny Hostin jumped in, and things quickly escalated. Sonny wasn't willing to let Joy lay all the blame on the GOP. Instead, she turned the spotlight on the Democratic leadership, saying they had opportunities to fight harder and make a difference, but instead gave in too easily. She specifically called out Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, saying he gave up during negotiations and failed to secure meaningful wins for veterans. He should have stood his ground, she said. He should have fought for the people who are depending on him. Joy fired back immediately, defending Schumer and insisting the blame lies squarely with Republicans. Sonny, the real problem is not Schumer. It's the Republicans taking money away from veterans, she snapped. But Sonny held her ground, arguing that Democrats could have done more and shouldn't be so quick to compromise. At that point, Sarah Haynes stepped in, hoping to bring some calm and offer a more balanced perspective. She explained that while it's easy to criticize decisions after the fact, people forget how close the government came to a full shutdown. According to her, Schumer made a calculated move. He didn't have the votes to push back further, and forcing a shutdown could have done even more damage, not just politically but to everyday Americans, especially veterans who rely on government services. Sarah shared that she had initially been frustrated with Schumer too, but after learning more about the situation, she understood that he made the best decision possible given the numbers. He gave cover to some Democrats who needed it, she explained, noting that if they had forced a shutdown, Republicans could have used it as a legal excuse to cut even more services. Sometimes leadership is knowing when to hold back, she said. This moment revealed a bigger issue within the Democratic Party. There's no clear direction. While Sonny wants to see bold action in public fights, Sarah argued that behind the scenes, strategy is sometimes the smarter move. The two viewpoints couldn't be more different, and that's part of the reason the party often struggles to unite. But things didn't stop there. The debate spilled into a larger conversation about how the left handles messaging and leadership. Sarah emphasized that without control of the House, Democrats are limited in what they can do, and that it's simple math, not just politics. Still, Sonny pushed back, insisting that showing voters they're willing to fight, even if they lose, matters just as much. This fiery exchange made one thing clear. The Democratic Party is facing deep divisions. While some, like Joy, want the party to present a united front and focus on fighting Republicans, others, like Sonny, feel that the leadership isn't doing enough and is compromising too easily. Meanwhile, voices like Sarah's are caught in the middle, trying to explain the complicated reality of navigating Washington politics. The segment ended with tension still in the air. There was no real resolution, but it sparked a meaningful conversation, both on the show and among viewers, about the future of the Democratic Party, how it supports veterans, and what kind of leadership it truly needs moving forward. The truth is, emotional arguments and party infighting don't help the people who need support the most. Veterans, in particular, deserve action, not more blame games. Whether Democrats can come together, create a clear plan, and actually follow through remains to be seen. But if they continue down this divided path, many voters, especially those struggling the most, might start looking elsewhere for leadership.
Okay, so it would have been worse if he didn't concede. It would have been worse. And that's what was surprising about Pelosi saying that, because she knows from her experience as Speaker of the House that the negotiator told Chuck Schumer he did not have the votes. He could not get the votes. He shut it down. And one thing that changed my mind is yesterday I called him on the carpet and said, how are you leadership when you only get 9 Democrats to follow you? But then someone shared something that made me change a little of my perspective. They had exactly the number they needed to not shut down. So he gave cover to a ton of Democrats that probably in common sense terms knew their voters would backlash if they shut the government down. And honestly,
he gave coverage to the GOP to do whatever the heck they want to do.
Nobody's fooling themselves. It's a minority. They don't have the math. It's just basic math. There are facts there. It's not an opinion. They cannot avoid this. And if they bent the knee and pushed back just to show the public they were fighting, we would have ended up worse off. They would have gutted it even more.
They're gonna do it anyway.
Legally so, though.
can't.
So right now we're in the courts. We have more than 2,000 cases because of Doge and Elon Musk. I believe in the court system. I believe in the judges. I believe the one stopgap will be that moment. But when you cave and say, well, they're not listening to the rules anyway, well, you're giving them a shutdown, which legally allows them to do exactly what
And
they're
by
doing
the
right
way,
now.
And they're
in
gonna
a
do it
shutdown,